Today, I'll show you how to add almost any plugin to your server on Aternos. First, we'll use the classic method with the plugin search on Aternos, and then I'll also show you what to do if your plugin isn't available on Aternos and you want to add it. So, it's a really interesting topic and, as always, super easy. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so we're on Aternos now. This is actually the first Aternos video on my channel. I don't use Aternos on a daily basis, and I haven't used it before. It has its pros and cons, but let's not get into that now. But the topic is interesting, and a lot of people have asked about it, how to do it, what's going on here. Especially since I often make tutorials where I show a plugin that's relatively new or just isn't available on Aternos yet for some reason, and you asked me what to do, how to add those plugins. So finally, it's time to solve this issue. Alright, I'm already logged in here. I'm clicking play at the bottom. The screen is a bit cropped for you, so you didn't see the play button. Anyway, I'll leave the login and registration part up to you. I don't know what stage you're at, but today I want to focus strictly on these plugins. As you can see, I already have a server here. It's PaperMC 1.19.3. Let's go into it. And maybe a quick little tour for those who still aren't familiar with Aternos. On the left, we have the whole panel. Here, most importantly, is the software, meaning the server engine. I've selected Paper here. If you don't know why Paper, then I invite you to check out the episode you'll find in the card as well as in the description. There, I explain why Paper. I answer why it's cool and better than Spigot, because a lot of people never go beyond Spigot and don't even know there's something other than Spigot. So I explain everything there. Check it out if you want. I've got version 1.19.3 installed. You can have any other version, like 1.19.4 or maybe 1.16, whatever. Of course, the server version you have really affects whether a specific plugin will work on your server, but we'll get to that in a bit. So you also need to pay attention to that, obviously to the version. So here on the left, we also have files. In these files, we can preview which plugins we have, for example, as well as other server configuration settings. We go into plugins, and here are the plugins I have installed. For the purposes of this episode, maybe I'll just clear this out completely. It'll be easier that way, or at least remove a few of them to show you how I upload them. These are already folders, not jar files, so I can leave these folders, it doesn't matter. Alright, so now to the point. The Plugins tab in your Testo has this nice search feature where you can look for your plugins. As you can see, we have the whole list here. You can just click through and keep browsing these plugins, or search for whatever you want. So, for example, I can search for WorldGuard, which is the basic plugin for managing regions, blah 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 blah. So, it's the basic plugin for managing regions on your server. Things like a VIP zone, spawn area, that kind of stuff. You can also check out a tutorial in the card as well as in the description. I explain everything there, how to do it, and so on. Anyway, this isn't an episode about that. Let's focus now on actually uploading plugins. So I go into it, and here I have, of course, a description for version 1.19, 1.18, 1.16. We choose what we're interested in and simply click the button, the icon, the button that looks like a download to disk, and it downloads to our Aternos. Here, it's highlighted in green. I don't know if that means, probably that it's compatible. I have version 1.19.3. Here it says 1.19, but here we have information in parentheses that it's 1.19 plus. So most likely, that green icon means it's compatible. I click here, and it uploads to my Aternos. We have an icon here that says, cool, it worked. And now when we go to files, we should have WorldGuard in the plugins folder. is.jar. So if I were to start the server now, everything should load for us. And of course, I start the server here, in this main server tab. And just a reminder, if you start the server and the plugin isn't on the server, or it doesn't work, it's most likely because of the server version. You have the wrong version for the plugin, or the plugin requires other additional plugins. Here you'll have to dig a bit, because this situation depends on what you're uploading. Alright, but what now? What if we want to upload a plugin to Aternos? For example, I made a tutorial, but that plugin isn't here in this list in this search bar. So what now? But before that, I want to thank everyone who leaves likes under the episodes. It really helps the channel grow and expand. If you like the tutorials, you can subscribe or at least leave a comment. It really motivates me to keep working. Also, a huge thank you to the people you see on the screen right now. These are my supporters. If you're interested in supporter bonuses or just want to support me, check out that little button below. Alright, so back to the topic. If you don't see a plugin on our list, like the one from my mod TD tutorial, for example. Here I have a little tutorial. As you can see, Piston Mod TD, and from what I've checked, if we search for Piston Mod TD here, that plugin isn't available on Aternos. So what do you do in that situation? Well, it's actually super simple. There's a button here called Suggest Mod or Plugin. You just click it and paste the link to the plugin you want Aternos to add. Unfortunately, it's not as perfect as it might seem, because there's a note here. You can click this link here, as you can see, and it will take you to the requirements that plugins need to meet in order to be added to Aternos. So first of all, the plugin has to come from a site that Aternos supports, which in the case of plugins are these sites. If your plugin is from some other website, unfortunately Aternos won't add it. Here we have sites for mods, in case anyone is interested in mods, or rather mod packs, as it says here. Next, popularity. The plugin must have already gained some popularity. It can't be a brand new plugin that's only, say, 1 or 2 days old. From what I've seen, plugins with around 1,000 downloads are usually accepted, although it does say here that there's no strict rule about the number of downloads. So I checked. When I tried to submit a plugin with 500 downloads, it didn't go through, so I think you need more than 500, and with 1,000 downloads, you can definitely submit your plugin. But in general, the Aternos plugin database is really huge, and before recording this episode, I tried to upload or request a plugin for them to add. But whatever I checked, even plugins with 1,000 downloads were already added, so I had trouble testing this out. Still, I managed to find something, which I'll get to in a moment. So, in terms of popularity, it can't be a totally niche plugin with, I don't know, 20 downloads. Next activity, the plugin has to be actively supported, meaning there need to be updates and things like that. Another thing, it has to be a plugin that you can download directly from Spigot, like with Essentials. We have Spigot here in Essentials. Here it says via external site, and if we click on it, it takes us to the Essentials website. Some plugins redirect us to their own websites, some to GitHub, Jenkins, or all sorts of places, and that won't work. Aternos only accepts plugins that are officially from Spigot, that you can download from Spigot. So, for example, like the Roulette plugin. Here we have download now, and we can see the file size here. If I click it, we can download it, and that's the point. Aternos accepts this type of plugin. Aternos can't distribute paid solutions for free. Aternos is free, so that's not going to work. The plugin absolutely has to be free. Server files refers to mods, so we'll just skip that. And here we have a list of the most common reasons why a plugin gets rejected. From what I've tried and tested, the most common message I got was that it's not popular, because I was trying to add some niche plugins, and also that it can't be added for technical reasons. These are things like an additional port, or just things that Aternos doesn't support, where users can't set, modify, or change these things, so unfortunately, such plugins are also blocked. It could be a completely normal plugin, you know, just an ordinary, decent one, but it just has some extra options and Aternos simply won't add it. And here again, as we've repeated, it has to be free, and honestly, those were the most common mistakes. Alright, so now let's try to submit our plugin from scratch, to request it. So let me remind you, we're here in the Plugins tab, and here we have Suggest Mod or Plugin. So what now? And here we can paste the link, so let's submit the Roulette plugin. I know it won't get approved, because I tested it before recording this episode. Here we have the information that, for technical reasons, it can't be added. As you can see, it's just a regular plugin, but for some reason it won't get through. So Aternos has already verified it. Someone submitted this plugin, Aternos reviewed it, stamped it, decided whether it passes or not, and now when we try to submit it, we immediately get the information that it won't go through. So let's try adding Piston Mod TD instead. I wonder if this will go through, because it would be nice, since I actually have a tutorial for it, so let's try adding it. And we get the same error, it seems. That's right, the same error. So Piston Mod won't go through for us either. That's a shame. On Aternos, there are other plugins for Mod TD, from what I've seen, so that shouldn't be a problem. But for some reason, Piston just doesn't go through. However, I found something that will definitely work, which is the Ultimate Gain Rules Manager. Click, let's copy our link here. Everything checks out, over 1,000 downloads. Here we have a direct download from Spigot. It should go through, let's see if it does. We paste it, suggest it, and we get information that someone has already submitted it before and it's just being processed. I'm not sure if I'm actually the first person to submit this, and that's just the default message, or if someone really did submit it before me. So it could go either way here. Anyway, we do get feedback that the request has been sent. They'll analyze it, and if they see that the plugin is fine and nothing bothers them, like some extra settings in the configurations or things like that, then they'll add it to our Aternos. So that's roughly it. I hope I helped you. If you liked the episode, you can leave a like, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next videos. Howdy!